Hello, team. We are going to have an immensely relaxing class today. We're going to be talking about stuff that's exceptionally important, but we're going to be talking about it in a pretty laid back way. So today we're going to be talking about accessibility and taking a look at some of the practical things we can do to make our websites more accessible. And I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach. So when I've been talking to you all about learning and really development overall, I've been really careful to say, oh, hey, do you know what? Um, there's no wrong way to do this. Well, there's ways that don't quite work, isn't it? And oh, you know what? There's a lot of different approaches, but I'm going to be a little bit more mean to you this time. I'm always mean to y'all. And suggest that maybe, no, maybe accessibility, the topic we're about to look at today, I'd say is probably the most important one we're going to talk about. And I've really been pushing, hey, you can get weird. Hey, you can be creative. Your websites are yours. But really, what we're going to be talking about when we talk about accessibility in the web is I want to try and push you the idea that making your websites accessible for anybody who wants to see them, there's a moral imperative to do that. It's an ethical thing. So I like to think everybody I'm learning with wants to be a good person, wants to do good things. Part of that is thinking about access. When you build a website, when you build an experience, when you have something to say on the web, to create an experience that isn't accessible means, oh, hey, I made something so important. I had an idea so important. I had a business idea so important. I had a message so important that I built a whole website for it. But if you build a website that's not accessible, that doesn't let as many people as possible see it, you say, hey, I had a message that was so important. I did some work, but I left a gate up so that some people couldn't see it. And none of y'all want to do that. So today we're going to be taking a look at accessibility. We're building a quiz. And one thing that's going to be really exciting is we're going to add an extra guest. So usually we have guests on Thursdays. We'll still have guests on Thursdays. And I'll drop it into the Bootcamp in just a second, but we're going to be having a guest after our normal class time. So an hour or so after this, Tuesday on the 4th of October. So ages away. And we're going to be having a dear friend of mine come and talk to us about the experience of being a screen reader user. So here's what we're going to be building. Oh no, it's a form. It's a form again. We'll survive a form. But this has got a lot of semantic HTML elements in here, yeah? So we think if we're going to be focused on accessibility, that we're going to be talking a lot about what do these elements mean? What do they carry? Well, I like this a lot. Let's start coding. Okay, it says, you know what? We've done a lot of this for you. It is asking us to do some stuff we've done before, but it's telling us why in more detail. Yeah? Oh gosh, look how many of you there are. How scary, how exciting. Hello, everybody. So here we're going to, in our HTML element, our lang attribute to English. And this is especially useful like this says. So screen readers are a piece of technology that will, for somebody who's visually impaired, somebody who can't see the screen, they'll go ahead and read out what's on the screen. And setting the language right at the top is giving people a really good hint. If I'm a French speaker and I come to your website and I'm using a screen reader, getting told right off the bat that this is going to be in Spanish or English or Dutch gives me a hint that maybe I want to check a different resource. Check our code. We've got that green stripe. Everything's fine. So we've done the meta element already. We've done this a lot, but we're going to talk about it a little more. Like we've done these and we've been building the muscle memory, but this time we're getting an idea of why. So it says, well, get a meta tag and char set. We're going to set the character set to UTF-8. I think it will default to UTF-8, but this is, yeah, the way to encode characters that's supported by most browsers. Let's check our code. We've got that little green stripe. Everything's just fine. So we had a really, really good question yesterday who was saying, hey, what the heck is with this meta tag view? Well, you know what? The content in the initial scale, I don't really remember how to do that. I've just absolutely, oh, that's not it. It's the viewport meta tag. Thank you very much. And it's always chill to go and get this. There we go. And it's given us the basics to say, hey, do you know what? I bet that this is what you actually want. Yeah. So it says meta, the name is a viewport. Okay, is that what it asks for? Meta, the name is a viewport. Cool, 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 cool. And then, okay, so somebody asked a question about this yesterday saying, what is this doing? And as a happy developer, I'm a lazy developer, so I'm going to push this copy button and go get this. Yeah. So here it says, hey, the meta tag is saying, hey, I've got a message for the browser. I say, okay. And the name is telling the browser, this is going to be about the viewport. This is going to be how we style this out. And I want the content on my page to be as wide as the viewport, as wide as the device, as wide as you can make this content. Go ahead and do it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But the initial scale, so when you stretch it or squish it, I don't want you to warp the images or warp the text. So the initial scale, I'm going to leave that 1. Hey, we've got a green stripe. Everything's fine. Oh, this is just letting us know, oh, if you really, really wanted to, you could donate to Free Code Camp as a nonprofit. It's a really solid thing to do, but if you don't have the cash, don't do it. So let's go ahead and add a description. And this is really, really cool. So meta name feels a little bit like the viewport up there, doesn't it? Let's put them side by side. Let me go get you, just so we can see the similarities. So again, it's a name. But instead of a viewport, we're not saying, hey, I want to tell you things about the viewport. We're saying, I want to tell you things about the description, which I've possibly spelled right. Here, I'm going to set the content of my description. And this is where we get to be a little bit creative. So this is a description of what's on my website. And this is what's really nice. So it's good for accessibility, but it's also good when search engines come and see what's on your website. That's super chill. Ooh, so this was a quiz about front-end development. It's a quiz about development. And I don't have to say an online, do I? But this is where stuff gets hard. What is a good description? A social, because we're doing it together. You share it with your friends. Quiz about developer habits. And that's just because I don't quite remember what the quiz is. We can go back and change if I'm wrong. Let's check our code. Everything, we've got that little green stripe. Everything continues to be fine. All right. And this is saying, hey, you know what? Title elements are really important for screen readers and really important for SEO. And SEO means search engine optimization. That means how high up you show up in search results for DuckDuckGo or Bing or Yahoo or Google. Or Ecosa. Ecosa is one I'm really excited about. But the title is something that both screen reader users and search engines really like to see from you. Oh, and it's asking us to be creative. So the title here, give it a good title. Oh, what do we think? Developer quiz? Developer quiz? Yeah, I'm just going to say developer quiz. I am gently confident we're going to get a little green stripe right here. Oh, a social. Okay, so it wants to be at least 15 characters. Is that 15 characters? Yeah, that's 15 characters. We're going to go ahead and bop on. Everything's fine. We're going to add a header and main. And we've done this before. This even if we've got somebody who's saying, oh, I want to learn CSS from zero, that is not a problem. This is actually part of a free web development bootcamp, and we've been learning CSS together. So if you go back through the past videos, oh, thank you very much. So you can either join the bootcamp and get the certificate, you can just do free code camp on your own, or if you just want to check out the videos, we've gone through CSS not from nothing. Everybody here is so good and smart. Header. And really, if you go through the old videos, you will see that learners just absolutely carry me through CSS. It's a shame. Okay, so the header will be used to introduce the page as well as the navigation menu. And the main element will contain the core content of my page. And this is really exciting because this is what we keep talking about when we talk about semantic HTML. The header carries meaning. The stuff that's going to go in my header is header stuff. And the body stuff, it's not quite as important as main. Oh, heck. Sorry. So main is in with me, and that's really important both from accessibility and search because that's the main point of the page. That's if I'm coming to this website, that's probably the stuff I care about. We've got that green stripe. Everything's fine and everything's going to be fine. All right, so within our header, let's go ahead and do some. I see some of y'all saying, oh, I'm not finished with this lesson or that. That's okay. There's no hurry. There's no worry. There's no deadlines. It's just programming. Programming can't hurt you. So image H. Okay, so I'm going to do an image screen. Oh. And while I'm doing this, what must I remember to do? What must I do for my image? So image H1, and it's giving us a lot of options here. So we're really going to rely on our tests. The nav element. So the H1 should contain the text, HTML, CSS. Well, you know what? That's probably a much better title than what I actually did, isn't it? Ramia, you are after my own heart. We absolutely need alt text. Ooh, and do you know what? I've really been drilling. You must have alt text. You must have alt text. You must have alt text. Except if you've got a image on your website that's just decorative, like a little white scroll or a little blue spacer, or just some little green blocks, just sort of breaking up the visual noise. You probably don't need an alt text on that. We can just go ahead and let screen readers ignore them. And we will learn about a magic way. No, in so much that computers are magic. Nesting 1H. This kind of feels like I want the nav element wrapped around that, but it doesn't say that. So I'm going to try it this way first. And a nav is like a div, but it carries that extra semantic meaning. So it says, hey, this is a empty box right now, but it's an empty box that's going to help you navigate. It'll have the navigation info. In order to write good alt text, I need to know what this image is. Let's go ahead and, it's not going to load as the CDN. I'm going to assume, oh wait, it'll show me right. Oof, that's quite large. It's asked for, oh gosh, Carlos, you're absolutely right. We say we need alt text, but don't forget that the instructions say the ID as well. You are durably, incomparably right. So the ID is going to be logo. Oh, heck. The ID is going to be to logo. And I bet that's going to, because I can't tell if you can tell, but it just says free in very, very light white letters. I can barely see it. I bet we're going to use this ID to change this around. And the alt, still text on the next page, but we're going to get a jump on it. The alt text is we don't have to say the free code camp text logo. Yeah, not quite sure this will work. Oh, you know what? If it works, it works. Nothing's wrong. Let's keep bopping along. So an SVG, let's go and find you. Oh, heck, you got a little bit busy. I'm going to get rid of the preview for a second. Thank you very much. So we've got different types of files that go on our website, or that make up our website, really. And here we've got different kinds of image files that exist. Yeah. Can anybody name any types of image files? Oof. And while I'm asking about this, let's go ahead and look, and we could say, oh, here's the URL, here's the address where this image lives. And here we could say, oh, this is the name of the image, and this is the extension, an SVG. Oh, the encoder's like, Jess, I know you know a JPEG is a thing. So JPG, JPEG, or JPEG. Oh, Romy, I'm just doing all the homework saying, oh, JPEG, an SVG, a scalable graphic, which we can stretch and squish and mush very, very easily, or a PNG. Oh, come on, y'all. There's one left, and it's my favorite one. You say, Jess, you don't really have a favorite. Okay, Platypus is showing off and saying, come on, let's do the mainstream ones first. y'all aren't going to say GIF? Oh, heck, I've just clicked on you twice. Sorry, babe. So let's go ahead and take the image and I don't want the console. Thank you. I want the preview. So here, this image is way too big. Thank you, Tashar. A GIF. Or, I mean, some people say GIF. The creator of the GIF wants you to say it GIF. And that stands for Graphical User Interface. So GIF, it's not like a, yeah. I'm not going to, that's one of those things people online like to fight about. And we're not going to fight yet. So here, we're going to change the size, and we're going to use the ID as a selector. And to use an ID as a selector, we start with the hash. Oh, Jeff, you're absolutely right. It's a graphic interchange form. What did I say? Did I say something absolutely foolish? You are durably, absolutely correct. We're going to come in here. I wonder what I said. And we're going to use the ID that we set for it. And I remember it was called logo, wasn't it? We're going to get our curly babies. I said GUI had a habit. Oh, so a graphical user interface is a different thing, and I'll drop the definition into the chat. You don't really have to worry about it now. Really, I'm going to pretend that I'm a goofball on purpose to model being chill about stuff. We're going to set our width, and I'm going to copy and paste this just because I'm nice and lazy. The maximum width is going to be 100 pixels. Oh, wait, where have you gone? Oh, just a little tiny thing. I still don't feel like this is very visually accessible. I bet we're going to fix this. Okay. Oh, a style guide. Ooh, a style guide. When you're working on websites with a bunch of other people, often there's going to be a style guide. Let's go ahead and open this in a new tab. Let's check out this style guide. Look at this. And this is telling us how we think the Free Code Camp site should look and feel. And there's a lot of messages. You know what? Let me drop this. Heck. Let me drop this into the chat. I think it's really, really nice to sort of chat through this together. So say, hey, we've got a vision for how we want this to feel. And we say, oh, we want this to feel like a command line interface or a code editor. And we haven't talked about command line interfaces yet. We've talked a little bit about code editors. But this is going to feel a lot like common developer tools, as sort of the stylistic feel. Typography, which we learned about last time. Oh, here's the font. Here's the other fonts. We talk about our colors. This is really cool. I'm really glad they included this. Oh, and this one says, hey, you know what? According to our style guide, we should keep an aspect ratio that's a specific type. Okay. So the first thing it wants us to do is set a background color. Where am I? I am so thankful that we have so many really, really lovely, very, very knowledgeable people in here, because I would just be saying nonsense sometimes. So, okay. Oh, this feels so much better. It's a little bit small, but that black background, blackish, black, mostly black, that black mostly black background. Um, really, really works. We've got good contrast between that and the white logo. Yeah. Where am I? Okay, and now we're going to use a brand new one, which is our aspect ratio. This is going to go Russian. And we're going to set this to a ratio of 35:4. Okay, we can do that. We're going to copy and paste it just because I don't trust myself. Well, it didn't change much at all, did it? But that would be useful once we start resizing some stuff. And the padding all the way around, so I only have to do it once. 0.4. And it automatically wants to do pixels out of the box. But I'm like, no, we're not doing a pixel. Amazing. I'm medium sure that's going to work. And we've got that green stripe. Oh, so Ramia's got a really good question. I say, okay, well, the aspect ratio, does that change the font size within an element? Oh, do you know what? Let's do this together. So let's look at aspect ratio. And I'm going to cheat and go I'm going to search for MDN. I'm going to search for this aspect ratio. Okay, so here's our CSS aspect ratio. And the 1:1. Hey, keep this. How this box? Ha ha ha, look at this. I keep telling you they're all boxes, even when they don't look like boxes. And yeah, so we can automatically apply this. Ooh, what's that? This is nice. Here we go. Here's some aspect ratios. 1:1, 16:9. That's super chill. I'm going to go ahead. This doesn't quite answer your question, but I'm just like, hey, let's look at the docs. Well, as patient as you are, lovely. We've got our green stripe. Let's keep bopping along. So let's make the header. And remember when we talked about parents and children, that children are the elements inside the parents, enclosed within. Yeah. So right now, the header is not taking up a bunch of space. Oh, let's talk about this. Let's talk about the space we have available. Let's get weird. So here with our meta tag we said, you know what? For my website, I want you to take up as much space as you can on the device. Your viewport, which is the space on which somebody is viewing your website. And that could mean a browser window on a computer. That could mean a browser window on a whole phone. That could mean a browser window. Oh, do they put browsers on watches yet? On smartwatches? But we've said, go ahead and take up as much width as you can. And the scale, sort of the aspect ratio of the website, let's go ahead and leave it 1:0. Don't stretch stuff out weird. Yeah. So here I'm saying I want the header to take up the full width of the parent container. And because the parent of the header is body, yeah. And the body is taking up the whole width of the viewport. I think what this is going to do is make the header take up the full width of the viewport. Yeah. Oh, we're going to use Flexbox. Oh, someone remind me how to do Flexbox because I think I've forgotten, just to be annoying. It's display flex, isn't it? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do a type select. Oh, heck. We're going to go ahead and type in the right box. And this lesson is pretty big. We're going to get our curly babies out. So we're going to go through about half of it, same as usual, just to be cruel and to abandon you. So we're going to set our height to 50 pixels. Okay, that feels chill. We're going to set our background color to, I'm going to just copy you. So display, I don't think it's Flexbox. Is it Flex? Right, that definitely did something. Is it the right thing? Do you know what? This will run our test for us. Okay. Header. Oh. Heck. That's exactly what it asked us to do. Is say, hey, make sure it takes up the whole width. And I failed to do that. Right here, but it didn't give me an easy little cheat terms. It said, hey, Carlos, you've got it right here after my own heart. You're like, Jess, read the instructions carefully. Thank you, babe. Set it to, so we're going to set the width to 100%. Hey, everything's fine. Probably object, let's see. You're pointing out that object fit could probably fit here, but let's go ahead and, yeah. Oh, let's change our H1 because our H1, it's just vanished. And I bet we're going to clean up where you can barely see, but it's sort of, oof, the bottom of the text is coming through the background and it's kind of stressing me out. So we're going to set our H1 here. We're going to set the color, not the font color, because y'all have seen me do that before. Is F1BE32. Ooh, well, that's very yellow. It feels very much like a high school size before. And then font hyphen size. Cool, cool, cool. What is it, the minimum size? We don't want it to get too small. No more than sort of 5% of the view width. No less than 1.2 EM. That didn't change it. Oh, it did change a thing? Okay, and because all of this is Flexboxed in the header where the H1 lives, it's gone ahead and said, by default, I want to put those out in horizontal order. I just want to line those up in a row just to make your life easier. Let's keep going. Everything's fine. So inside our nav element, remember that's just like a div, except it carries the semantic meaning of this is where navigation lives. We're going to have an unordered list, and we did only one of these. So if you forgot how to do one, that's not a big deal. You can forget stuff as much as you want, and it's not going to hurt you. What? I mean, in a job interview or some stuff can sometimes be stressful. Right? Oh, you know what? Just telling you your business. One thing I've found, and I've been working in tech for a very, very long time, I think, is that when I first got started, I think I tried to, oh, I know what's going on. I know what I'm doing. I'm terribly good at things. And I think as I've gotten a little bit older, much, much older, um, that's, oh, to finish my fussing. Oh, that doesn't show me. I think that the black and the black are overlapping. I think we're going to have to do some more things. Oh, it's a link. Oh, thank you very much. Oh, all list items should be wrapped in anchor tags. Okay, we can do that. While I'm doing this, I'll finish my prattling on to say, you know what? I think that my life has gotten a lot easier, specifically in tech, since I've sort of chilled out about being wrong about stuff sometimes. And that's absolutely a privilege that comes with being very, very senior and very old. But even for juniors, I often feel that being pretty laid back about, oh, hey, I'm going to try this, or, oh, can you give me a second? I've got to look something up. Because it's not weird to have to take a pause, look something up. Okay, these are links. It's terribly hard to see, though. I imagine we're going to fix that. But yeah, just being pretty chill about when stuff gets goofed up is, at least for me, very relaxing. Okay, so nav. You use the type selector, so no dots, because the dots would be for class, and no hash, because that would be for an ID. And I only want to do stuff to the list items that are the children of the nav. Okay. Ooh, Logan, this is such a good point. This is such a pretty way to say it. And say, the more you learn, the more you realize that you don't know. And I think there's is there sort of an aphorism for this? There's the things that you know that you know you know. There's the things that you don't know you know. There's the things you don't know that you know you don't know. And then there's the things that you don't know that you don't know. If you are a non-native speaker, that is incredibly confusing. And I'll find something that says that. Display flex. Okay, ooh. Okay, I can't tell if we've evenly spaced our children. Okay. Oh, it's the nav. Oh, We're going to do the unordered list. Oh, I need this little pricky baby. You think that's going to work? Oh, target. Oh, gosh, yes. Sorry, I just added Flexbox and didn't do a heckin' thing with it. Justify content. And this is one of the nice things about tests, isn't it? That oftentimes they'll just tell us what we need to do. What did we want? Oh. I hope you can see when I've highlighted it, but they're living up here now. I think we're probably gonna, yeah, we've got that green stripe. We got there eventually. So I think it's fashionable now. So this quiz, okay, we're gonna do a form. Do you know what? I am classically terribly bad at forms. Do you all mind if I get the form, HTML form? Very reassuring to have a teacher who can't quite. I don't want a form element. There we are, the form element. Yeah. Oh, do you know what? And I really like these. MDN has been putting out some really good educational content. If you did the forms with us so far and they just didn't click, these web forms ones are really, really useful. Yeah. I mean, oh, is this form? Show me the form. Show me an example form. Come on, I just want to cheat. You're not, there we are. You'll help me. Yeah. Okay. So we got our form, then divs and labels. I remember us needing a specific semantic element that carried some use for accessibility, isn't it? And a lot of these terms are going to feel super weird. It's the exact same as if you keep programming your hand. If you keep talking about them, they'll just feel less and less weird with time. I'm so sorry that the only way to make them feel less weird, Ramia! Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to yell at you, my love. I was like, oh gosh, what did we need to add some extra accessibility? Field set. Let's go ahead and see if I can't remember how to use our field sets. So we have wait, hang on. Within our main element, create a form with 3 nested section elements. Okay. So these section elements are going to be the children of the form. They live inside it, they're nested inside it. And you can say the term nested inside gives you a good hint that this is. Folks are recommending W3 schools. W3 schools kind of stresses me out. Do you know what? I'm probably just, and you know what? Use the resources that are the best for you. I'm a little bit biased towards MDN because I'm a big Mozilla fan and they run it. Oh gosh, let's check. Where does that method get class? Where do I submit you to? Okay. W3 schools. HTML form. Input type submit? Yeah, I think it is. Okay, I don't give them enough credit. Are they going to show me field set? Where am I? So, what do we think? Do we put the input type in the form? You say, Jess, you literally taught us this 2 weeks ago. I'd be like, look. Yeah, it's a separate, the input element is its own thing. Oh, I knew that. Form. wrapped around the whole thing. Yeah, form method post we definitely need. Yeah. Here we go. It's action to submit. Well, let's go ahead and grab you. Oh gosh, that sounds like I'm going to grab you. Yeah, the input event. No, please, no. HTML input. You know what? Yeah. Input. Yeah. Okay, we can do this. So the input goes. Where am I? Where do I live? Okay. Using the correct method. Where do I put the form method post action link. Thank you. And you know what? Ramaya makes the best choice. We said, you know what I did is I looked back at the old HTML form lessons. That's probably the best way to do it. I see some of you using the comment section to be like, "Hey, me from the future, come back and look at this one." Yeah, it's an absolutely delightful way to use this. Phone action post. Who here? Do we not? I think it's at the input. Well, I mean, we're going to have an input type eventually anyway, and then we're going to have the action. Oh heck. Sorry, if I hit caps lock on my keyboard, it switches languages just to make my life more stressful. Oh gosh, do you know what? One of my favorite things. Never expected it. This is all with the help of those of you who are hanging out in chat. This just magically through y'all's talent, this worked. So we're going to start talking about roles. The role attribute is kind of a little bit. Oh, and Carlos is. Let's do a Ramon style pat because that one took us a second. Yeah, and we've got Verimi, I'm going to put you up on screen. I'm not picking on you. This is very good. So, do you know what? I used the button element and that worked too. There are usually going to be multiple different ways with HTML or CSS. There's often going to be multiple ways to get the same thing done, as long as it doesn't impact usability and as long as it doesn't impact accessibility. I am joyously indifferent. Oh gosh, that sounds like I don't care. As long as you're happy and it doesn't hurt accessibility or usability, yeah. So let's create a role attribute. And we've never seen this before, have we? We're going to give each of our section a role. You say, Jazz, this feels weird. We've never talked about roles. We've never seen roles. I say, fabulous. You know what we do when we see a brand new thing that's weird and scary. We are going to come up here. Oh, ARIA. What's ARIA? ARIA, doesn't that just sound pretty? I believe it's an opera term as well. Let's go ahead and get the MDN ARIA. Yeah. You can see I've been looking at this recently. So ARIA is kind of a new type of way. So it's let's make you talk about you for a second. So ARIA is super important. This is some roles and attributes that live together, and they help make web stuff on the web, especially when you use JavaScript. If you're not in the JavaScript course yet, don't worry about it. It's no biggie. JavaScript can come later, or you could be like me and just never get good at JavaScript, and it won't always hurt you. So these are additional roles and attributes that aim to make stuff more accessible. Okay, so these are built just for accessibility. But one thing we're going to look at this warning. Look at this warning does not mess about. But this one is saying, hey, you know what? Developers should prefer using the correct semantic HTML element over ARIA if an element exists. Um, and my friend Bruce, who, Kinjal, would it be a bother to ask if you can find Bruce's talk from the last bootcamp and toss that into the chat? Thank you. So Bruce came to talk to us last bootcamp about how cool HTML is, and he has a rule for HTML that says built in beats bolt on bigly. Hang on, I'll type this out. Built in beats bolt on bigly. And this is weird, but what this means really is, hey, if there's an HTML element that carries the semantic meaning you need, then always use that instead of trying to engineer something weird. And ARIA is a little bit weird, but ARIA was something that the standards folks said, oh, we want to make this to make stuff more accessible. But if you can use the right semantic element, if there's something built in to HTML, use that, even before stuff like ARIA. If ARIA feels weird, that's okay. But we're looking at ARIA roles. This is okay. Actually, if I'm going to give you triple homework, because I always give you chilling out as homework, reading a little bit about ARIA, and a lot of this technical language is hard, and it can really, it's really easy to zone out. But this is saying, hey, you know what? A lot of semantic HTML elements have a role. For example, an input type has a radio role. That's what it does. But non-semantic types like div or span, they don't have a role. The role lets you bolt on or staple on some semantics into these empty boxes. So here, I'm going to come all the way back to our homework. We've said, you know what, a section's it doesn't carry a lot of semantic meaning. Sorry. So a section, carries more semantic meaning than a div. Div is just an empty box. This tells us, well, this is a section. I say, okay, so it's a little bit of context. It's not giving me a lot though. You say, okay, hey, I'm going to set a role to region. Okay. And I bet we're going to learn some. We've got that green stripe. Everything's fine. So every region role requires a visible label, which is going to be referenced by the ARIA labeled by attribute. Okay. So we're going to use this attribute. I'm going to put it right here, I think. And if I'm wrong, if it doesn't go here, it's not going to hurt us. Being wrong, even if it's how many of you are there? Being wrong on the internet, even if 100 odd people can see you, probably not going to kill us. I think this is probably the semantic within each section. Oh, heck, I'm doing this wrong. Whoa. I was just saying, it can't hurt you to be wrong. And look at me being proved right so quickly. Within each section element, make an H2. Okay. That's chill. And we're going to put our ARIA labeled by attribute here. Okay. That's quite a lot of space. And since we're making 3 different H2s and all of them have an ARIA labeled by element, and because I'm lazy, you absolutely know how we're going to do this. I'm going to grab you. Again, I'm not threatening to grab any of you. I'm going to copy and paste this text. And I think if I've done this right, I'm going to be able to take this student info and put it into the ARIA label. Okay. I'm going to take these HTML questions and be able to put it into this ARIA label. And I'm going to get my CSS questions and put it in here. And what we're doing is we're stapling on more and more semantic meaning, a region of the page that I'm going to direct you to. Cool. And if I'm using assistive technology and I say, here's a region of the page, it's also going to tell me that this is the student info. Where'd you go? Which just gives me a bit more information than info. Oh, give each H2 suitable. Oh, I was about to just ignore that. Give each H2 suitable text content. Oh, suitable text content. I think that means. Hmm. Oh, yeah. Are you HTML has to be capital. I mean, it's not gonna. Well, it might get me if they weren't. HTML questions. And here we've got CSS questions. Yeah. Okay. I'm about 30% sure we'll get a green stripe. We did not. My first section should have an ARIA labeled by. Oh, my section should have it. Do you want? Okay. Achraf is just like, Jess, you know what? You know you did this wrong, and I know I did this wrong. Let me get rid of you. And again, I'm not trying to get rid of my students either. Move that into the section. So I'm going to take this ARIA labeled by, and I'm going to move it into the section element, which is where it wanted. And what I'm going to do instead in this H2 is give it an ID that's the same as an ARIA label that surrounds it, the same as the section. Being very lazy, I'm going to copy and paste 3 IDs in here. I'm going to grab this student info. The first ID for the first H2 is student info. The second ID for the second H2, HTML question? Yeah. And the third one is CSS questions. All of this is fine. Being wrong can't hurt us. Oh, we got a green stripe. We got a green stripe. I'm going to co-opt a pat for that. Okay. Aria's brand new and scary. This has got a lot of sort of inference. Oh, put this here, give it a suitable text content. But we're fine. Go ahead and bop on to our next challenge. So when we talk about accessibility, what different kinds of things might we want to think about? Yeah. So screen readers, people who use a special computer, a special program to read a website to them. Those are folks we need to account for. We have folks who use a keyboard to navigate instead of a mouse, or folks who use different kinds of navigation tools, which are super cool. There's also types of accessibility around visual accessibility. Remember when we first put this logo down and it was black on black? I don't think I definitely couldn't see it. And that was not very visually accessible to pretty much anyone. Here it's saying typeface, the typography that I think you all loved yesterday, which wasn't hard at all. It was very hard and stressful, wasn't it? But here it's saying, you know what? Typography is really important in the accessibility. Some fonts are easier than others, especially if you've got a screen that's not very fancy. Okay. So we're going to change both H1 and H2. Is it a comma to do both? I never forget. Well, let's try. I'm going to set the font. Ooh. Font is going to be set to Veranda. Very fancy. I'm going to say another web safe font in the Sans Serif as a backup. Okay, that's super chill. And let's add a bottom border. And, just to the H2. You know what? I'm going to do these as separate sections. So also, I'm not super confident that comma is actually the right way to do that. So here, I'm just going to set the rules for the H1. All chill. Nothing bad is happening. Here, you don't need a border bottom. You can go away. And here, border bottom, 4 pixels, solid, and I wonder what color this is. Oh, it's sort of a blocky little gray. Oh, did I have a typo in veranda? Verdana. Mm, mm. Oh, you should use a multiple element selector. Oh, you should do it the way I told you to do it the first time, Jess. Okay, well, we don't need to set this twice. Does it work with a comma? Okay, font family. Although it is suggesting the comma was the way to do it. And that's the nice thing about even when Ramia, oh, all of y'all are like, y'all, it's font family. Thank you. Y'all are way too nice when I'm wrong. I submit and go to the next. And saying wrong feels a lot heavier than I want it to be because you're not you're going to screw up, but like it's so easy to forget syntax. And syntax is the grammar, the order we put stuff in. It's so easy to forget which semantic element to use. It's so easy to forget everything. Like, I don't know about you, but my life is stressful enough. And it's so easy to think about, oh, I got this wrong. I screwed this up. I messed up. When really, a lot of this can be a lot lower stakes than it needs to. Let's go ahead and oh, yeah, let's set the ref. There we go. Href. And we're going to set that to the anchor element, to the ID of the H2 elements. I think I remember how to do this. Was this the hash? Oh, Ramia makes a fantastic point where you say, oh, do you know what? Before the ability to web search, syntaxes, it was quite a bit more strict. One thing that's really nice about web technologies is just as we got the ability to play with this, we kind of got web search coming immediately after. But there's a lot of programmers who learned to program before the web existed. Um, and you get sort of big books and copy them and learn from these tutorial books. But I think about this for academics too, sort of people who wrote academic journals or articles or books before. Actually, what are you all called? Where are you? Sorry. So was it info is student info? Copy and paste student info. I think that should work. Oh, that made a link. Oh, and cool. So I'm going to go ahead and keep doing that because that seemed to work all good. Hey, and the ref, remember that's you throwing your anchor and the chain connects where it goes. And this feels a little bit different because it's not going to a different website on the internet. This hash is saying, hey, you know what? Can you go ahead and pretty please go and send me to somewhere else on this page? If you forget the syntax for this, it can't hurt you. I forget it all the time. And it only hurts me a little in my pride. Oh, everything's fine. Hey, my code passes. It's a bit of a surprise, but let's keep bopping along. And we're going really fast for this being so hard. So filling out the content of the student quiz below to that. Okay, so we're going to add 3 div elements. And we're going to add that class of info. Okay, we can do that. And all 3 of these are the same. So I'm going to cheat a little bit. Like cheat info. Okay. Oh, do you know I'm going to cheat even more? Then within each div, I'm going to put you on a different line. I'm going to have a label. I'm going to nest. I'm going to make it a child. A label self-closing? No, labels aren't self-closing. Wait, are labels self-closing? Yeah, we'll find out. And this is where we wanted our input element. I'm reasonably sure one of you is self-closing. Okay, yeah, input is self-closing. Are you? Oh, Jeff. Another old timer saying, you know what? We used to just look stuff up in books. Yeah. Where am I? Well, you know what? Let's just see if that's right. If it's not too fast. And since it wants 3 of these, ooh, look at that messy syntax. Let me check my code. Whoa. Okay. Yeah. That works. I am always happy when something works. So our inputs need to be connected to a corresponding label, and the label gets a for attribute, and the input gets an ID. And I always forget this, so it's pretty chill that it gives us the stuff here. It's marvelous. Kinjal's sort of behind the scenes being like, Jess, input self-closing. And I refuse to learn. It's so offensive, isn't it? Do you know what? It's not. You all are welcome to learn at your own pace as well. You're going to pick stuff up way faster than I have. So we said that the label gets a 4. That's chill. I wish they had told me in the step before, so we could have done these all at once. I'm coming to the front, the opening tag for each of our label, and then creating a blank 4. I can do that. And then our inputs, I'm going to make an ID for each of you. I'm just going to make a blank one right now. Oh, heck. There we go. And you know what? I'm going to be even lazier and copy and paste my IDs and put 2 more of them into the inputs. And those I've recently been reminded are self-closing, so we'll just chuck them in there. Link the input elements. Well, how? Oh, this section will take the student's name, email address, and date of birth. Okay, because at the end it was saying link the input elements to the corresponding label elements. And I was thinking, well, I don't know what the questions are, but it's giving us the instructions in the same way that maybe your boss might, and saying, hey, you know what? Here's what we need to take in these sections. So it's making us sort of translate human languages into computer instructions. So an input label for name. Okay. And the label for name, the input ID is name. That's chill. Let's try email down here. And this will be fun because we'll get to use the semantic email input as well. Type is going to be the next one we do. And the last one is going to be, I'm going to say DOB for birth. How about birth date? That's a little bit more readable. DOB is a really common abbreviation in English-speaking places, but maybe not all my coworkers would have heard of that. I'm going to check my code. What? Oh. Oh gosh, did we not get a break? Oh gosh, we've been going for an hour. Let's just keep going and push through if that's not rude. I'm so sorry. I thought I hated forms, but you all have just been a delight. And it's been almost a full hour just bopping along. I'm so glad you flagged that. I would have kept y'all here all night. Email, date of birth. Let's go ahead and do a couple more of these. And we've got that green stripe. It's really reassuring. Oh, fabulous. I was saying forms are hard, and apparently they're not that bad. I was having fun without noticing. I was saying, oh, accessibility is just really, really challenging and very important. And this has been zipping. So the best practices for form input is to give each input an appropriate name and type. And remember, input types have a default because most things have a default. Yeah. So the default for name and the default for inputs is to make everything a text box, and that's chill. Oh, look at that. They've gone for DOB instead. Ooh, ooh. The input by default is a text, but we're going to explicitly say, hey, here's what this is. So where am I? Where are we? Oh, Jeff, look at that pro tip. It says, hey, look, if you ever need to take a break, and I'm going to back you up on this. If you ever need to take a break, take a break. It's chill. But if you pause the video on YouTube and then you come back and start playing at double speed, it'll switch back to real time when it catches up. Well, that makes sense. Well, where am I? Where are we? So our input needs a type. Okay, so come on, I'm going to lovingly ask you. I can't make an adult do anything. Tell me what the types should be for these. I placeholder attribute. That seems cool and weird, doesn't it? So I'm going to copy and paste these while I mercilessly ask you all to tell me what kinds of types these should be. And while I wait for the lag to catch up, Carlos makes a really good point and says, well, this is about accessibility. It seems weird that it uses the abbreviation DOB. And this is something we don't actually talk about in this course, but you've touched on something that I think is really important. And I think a lot of developers forget about this when we talk about accessibility, which is linguistic accessibility. So, hey, are your users generally going to understand these abbreviations or understand this language? And is this text too hard? Oh, do you know what? This drives me absolutely up a wall to say, do you know what? If accessibility is about accessibility, calling it A11Y isn't super accessible for folks who don't have that computer knowledge yet. Oh, sorry, I'm laughing at this being so, so helpful. I'm going to go ahead and find, Kenjal, did we have Ashley Biscoff come and talk to one of the past boot camps? Do you know? I think if you can find a talk for that, otherwise I'm just gonna give you her Twitter. Actually, let me go find it. I'm gonna look in another browser because y'all don't need to know my business. Oh, oof, I just thought of accidentally showing my DMs on stream, and there's nothing scandalous in there. Yeah, but still, it feels like accidentally showing your email. So this is a talk Ashley gave talking about linguistic accessibility, which I love, love, love. And here's where you can hang out. Well, no, she mentions her social. I'm not going to throw it in there. Ashley's so smart and do you know what? This is the same way I talk to about my learners when y'all aren't around. Like, you're so cool. So somebody gave me all the right answers when I was being lazy and saying, hey, look, the types you're going to want in this order are text, email, and date. I don't know if we've done date yet, so that's very dead on. Let me go ahead. Type is text because we don't like name is just text. This one's email, and remember that doesn't do any validation. It doesn't check if it's a real looking email, just that it has an at and a dot. And here we want a date. It's going to give that gives us a date picker. We just boom, see it pop up like that. I've got to stop snapping and yelling and whistling at y'all like just very rowdy. But immediately we see a date pop up, and I think we're going to get I hate these date pickers because, like, if I was born in September 2022, I probably wouldn't be adding my birth date. Oh, Tammy, I hope this doesn't feel like I'm picking on you when I put this up, but you were saying I just guessed date. That is literally one of the things you're supposed to do when you don't know a thing. You can ask somebody. I wouldn't know. I mean, I knew this one. You can search for it on the web, also, or you can get weird. I think guessing counts as getting weird. I am 40% nah. The input type should have an appropriate name. What's a name attribute? Huh. All right. Oh, should that mirror the should that mirror the let's just see if that works. And if it doesn't, it's not gonna hurt us. Well, it's not gonna hurt y'all. It'll hurt my pride. I feel like I left my pride back behind in the 90s. What you wanted? No. We should give it. And a placeholder is this gray text that by default gives you a little bit more context. Email. Where's hello? Oh, heck. Hello at example.com. And example.com is a cool one because that's a real website and it's held as bump it up an example. Where, oh gosh, you know what? Y'all are absolutely right. Where I was like, oh, why do I need this? And Dalibor makes a really good point to say, oh, you know what? The name is going to be what's associated with this answers when it gets sent to me. And these are not great examples because like a name is going to look not going to look like an email address, which won't look like a date. But if I asked for somebody's first and last name, sometimes people's first and last names can be really similar. Yeah. So if I had one that said first name for the name, and then it sent a name, I'm pretty sure that's the first name. Yeah. I like using myself as an example for that because my first and last name are both first names. Actually, I've got a middle name as well. All of my names work as first names. So unless you label these, you will be doomed. Yes, we've got a green stripe in the grand tradition of a pat pat. Let's just, how far are we in? Are we chill to keep going for a little bit longer? We feel all right? I confess I'm having a really nice time. So even though we've added a placeholder to our first input element, it's not always great for accessibility because sometimes users can create the placeholder text with the actual input value. So here it says Quincy Larson, who, do you know what Quincy is? The gentleman who made Free Code Camp, and he is just the nicest gentleman. So sometimes when people take a look at this, they say, oh, I'm supposed to type in E.G. Quincy Lawson. That's it's not probably not quite right, huh? So we're going to remove that. We're going to take it out and say, well, you know what? We got to see what the placeholder feels like. We're going to take it away. Yeah, we don't always need all the things all the time. Oh gosh. Somebody's got a username that says, oh, I'm not a programmer. I read that as nose programmer as well. I'm so sorry. I just thought that was very clever that you were programming by instinct like a bloodhound. Oh, and where did you go? Carlos. Because you were like, DOB doesn't make a lot of sense here. That's not really helpful. And here it says, you know what? Arguably, DOB is not descriptive enough. And that could be especially challenging for visually impaired users saying, you know what? This is weird. What we're going to do is we're going to add, and I would personally say, hey, let's change this to something that has more context. But they've decided to go with DOB. I'm okay with that. What we're going to do is we're going to add a secret label. And we're going to add a label that screen readers will read, but that won't be visually represented on the page. Cool? So we're going to come in here and we're going to come into the span. Where's the, what? Append to span. Okay. Yes, we're going to say a span around. What? What? Hang on. Append a span with the element class of screen reader only to the current text content of the third label. So append means add on, not put it. So DOB doesn't go inside. But I think we're saying, here's a span. And do you know what? I'm very excited to be wrong if this was wrong. So I think append means add. And it could be before, it could be the end. And here I'm adding the class. Yeah. Yeah. Date if birth. Date of birth. Logan's saying, hey, is span inline? Span is inline. It comes right in after the DOE. But so far, so Carlos thinks it might be span around DOB. Ooh. Ooh. Okay, that passed, but that feels weird. Let's check the next one and see how. And you see that I promised you that it wouldn't show it on the screen. It shows on the screen. I bet we sort that out next. Oh, Okay, you want this, you want the text date of, I'd say just add date of birth. I think that makes more sense, doesn't it? So screen reader inside the span, say date of birth. Okay. Okay. And now, so we've added the class screen reader only, but we haven't given any secret instructions to make the screen reader. Here we go. So there is a magic, again, it's just computers, it's not magic. It feels magic. There's a magic, sort of a magic spell for making this screen reader only visible, only readable to screen readers. And that is these CSS properties in these order. I think you will forget this, not because I don't believe in you, but because I forget this constantly. Screenshotting this or saving this or making notes, if you want to remember it better than me writing it down. And I'm going to copy and paste this just because I am the laziest person. So we're setting our position to absolute. We're not going to move it around. We're only making it 1 pixel wide. We're making it little tiny, baby, little tiny, little tiny. And we're making it 1 pixel high. And you say, well, Jess, that's not invisible. That's just real small. I say, hold on. We're not giving it any padding. We're not adding any space inside it, not even the default space. So already we've got it as small as it can possibly go and have content. And I say, you know what else we're going to do? We're going to set the margin to -1. Really going to let the stuff around it overlap over it. And then if stuff is on top of it, this overflow hidden is saying, ha 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 ha. Don't show. And do you know what? I don't really know what clip means in CSS, shall we? There we are. Oh, is it deprecated? Let's go ahead and talk about this, because one thing we're going to do is we're going to raise an issue. Listen to me sounding well. We've gone really long already, so we won't raise an issue here. But am I logged in? I am not logged in. So let's just find you. Free Code Camp is actually an open source project. Look at this. All of the code, even the JavaScript, the stuff that's hard to see for this, lives here. And we're going to learn about it tomorrow. Tomorrow? It's Tuesday, isn't it? But one thing you can do with Free Code Camp is you can say, oh, hey, here are these issues. Here's when something's a little broken. Here's when something's, and here we say, hey, in the cat photo app, it's a confusing hint. And if you wanted to say, hey, you know what? This clip that you're recommending I use here, that I'm going to paste in here, is actually deprecated. Browse, like it's not recommended for use anymore. You can raise an issue and somebody will say, oh, I'm going to check and see if that's useful. Oh, that didn't work at all because I did not use the right class. Vanished. So Mitch, I think that's absolutely true. So the reason we can't see it is it shrinks it as small as it can go and then has the margin come over it to cover it and then says, hey, you know what? I'm going to set your default to hidden. Don't show it off. And no border. Yeah, our code passes. Nothing bad is happening. Well, nothing bad is happening to us with programming. Let's do just a couple more of these, just because this is a nice big one. But this is a really good time. If you've got any questions generally, go ahead and let me know what your questions are, and we'll get them answered as we wrap up. So in our second section right here, oh, is it clip path now, Carlos is like, oh, it's clip path now. You know what, Carlos? You are, and I'm not actually going to make you. I'm not going to make it. What might be cool is if you wanted to make an issue saying, oh, hey, and you could take a look at the other issues on GitHub. Hang on. And it doesn't have to be Carlos, anybody who wants to get there first and say, oh, hey, take a look at how other people frame these issues. But it's a good chance to say, oh, hi, I saw an MDN that clip is no longer being used is clip path now. And of course, I'm not going to make anybody, you're adults, nobody can make you do anything. So let's make 2 divs. But if you felt like it would probably can be kind of cool to be like, oh, I found a problem and I fixed it using code. Well, using a polite suggestion. Not tomorrow. Tomorrow we've got regular old class and we're going to look at our second project. But on Thursday, we're going to have a special guest come and talk to us about what GitHub is and how to use it. So the class is question block. Okay. And let's just do this one and maybe one more. Question block. Okay. So add 2 within each one. Add a P element. Okay, that's fine. That's not weird to me. Whoop. With incrementing numbers. How many? How many do I need? How many HTML I don't know. 5? I'm just gonna say 5. I don't know if I need the comma either. But being wrong, it's not gonna hurt us. And then we want one field set here. Okay, we've done the field set before. No, those are super important. We just need one. Oh, so just 1 and then 2. Is that right? That makes much more sense. Thank you very much. For those of you watching the replay, we've got folks in the chat who are just so gentle where they're just like, Jess, there's 2. It's just going to increment 1 and then 2. I should get you all to come and work with me, gentle as you are. Okay, so field set. And the class here is going to be the class question. Okay, we've got our field set. We've got that little box it magically draws. I'm going to copy and paste this div because as a happy programmer, I am a lazy programmer. I'm going to increment this up to, which 2? Okay, this feels like I've got 2 questions for where they go. Yeah. It's a bit too excited. Let's just do one more. So if you've got any questions, go ahead and hit me up with this. So each field set is going to have a true false. Each field set is going to contain a true false question. Cool. Sorry. I like the big metal thing because it makes it sound like I'm drinking just a cup full of nails if I've got glass in it. Glass in it? Ice in it. Yikes. Glass in it. How terrifying. So within each field set, nest 1 legend and 1 UL element with 2 options. Okay. I'm just putting these on a different row just for my own reasonableness, in so much that I'm reasonable. I'm going to have a legend. I think that... I can't remember if legend's not self-closing. Is it? And within that, I'm going to have an unordered list. I'm just over here telling y'all the scariest stuff that pops to mind. To be like, oh yeah, drinking my glass of my mug of glass. How scary. I promise that I'm drinking almost no glass day to day. Sounds even scarier. We've got 2 list items. Okay, we've got our little, those little dots don't look like that's where they go, do they? I've got true, and I bet we sorted it out later. False. Okay, well that might be what I need. Just on the off chance I've got it right the very first time, I'm going to come into here with the field set. I'm going to do the exact same thing. And it visually looks the exact same. I've got true, false. It's like it doesn't really sit inside that field set box the way I want to. What do we think? I've got like again, maybe I feel like 40% sure this is going to work. Yeah. Okay, I should nest one UL element within the first field set. What's within the legend? Nest. Oh. So this is where we come back to parents and children again. And it's so easy to mess up. So it said, hey, within the element, nest one legend and one UL element. I thought within make a legend and then make the UL element a child. And that's not quite true. But while it can be very annoying to try and see where you've screwed up with nesting and children and parents, where are we going? Once you find it, which I don't mean to imply it's really fast to find, but once you do find it, moving it feels really satisfying. I'm just going to go ahead and check our code. Fabulous. Everything's fine and everything's going to be fine. So we've got to 27. That's not quite halfway because these are pretty hard. Let's talk homework. Because we've been chatting for a while, and I know all of y'all, I hope all of y'all need to go have an easy morning or evening or afternoon. It better not be the middle of the night having you watch this live. Like, sleeping is more important than programming. So here, for your homework, the least important part of your homework is, if you can, try and go ahead and finish this section up. This section is hard. If you get stuck, come onto the forum or come onto the Discord, and we're super, super happy to help out. But if you say, oh, Jess, you know what? You're absolutely wrong. I'm like, I'm wrong all the time. You say, well, Jess, what you were wrong about is I thought this was really easy. Or even if it wasn't easy, I thought I did a really good job. I'm still going to lovingly send you to the forum, and I'm still going to send you to Discord, but to help out other folks that are stuck. So there's a manageable number of y'all on stream, but the total number of students enrolled in this bootcamp is 7,500. So if we're never going to ask you for money, I'm never going to ask you for a thank you or a card. Oh, card would no. Do you know what? If you do if you do something where you're really, really proud, if you want to come and tell me about it, you don't have to. But if you want to come and, oh, I got a job, or oh, I built this website, I'm always excited to hear about it, but you don't have to. If you say, oh, I want to do something that gives back to the bootcamp, helping out your other students is a really, really good way to cement your own knowledge as well. So go ahead and see if you can't finish this. Not a big deal if you can't get all the way through it. The tribute page, then what we're going to be looking at tomorrow, is a big blobby project. You're not going to finish that one overnight as well. Chill. It's fine. Your much more important homework, and you know what this is going to be as gentle to yourself as possible as you learn. All of this stuff is really hard. All of this stuff is super weird too. Like, give yourself as much credit as you can as you go. You all have been absolutely delightful. How about, and it's been ages, how about I let y'all go to have a very, very easy morning or afternoon, or not middle of the night. Just a very, very chill rest of your time. Thank you so much for learning with us today. Bye, team.